All right, hi everyone, and welcome back to our unit on the individual's responsibility in the face of climate change. So, today we're discussing Virginia Held's paper on whether a random collection of individuals can be held morally responsible. Of course, this was a paper that was originally written for environmental ethics. You know, the environment was not what she had in mind when she wrote it, but it's highly applicable to the discussion that we're having right now. And that's really what this class is about, is taking tools of philosophical analysis, particularly from ethics, and applying them to environmental problems. So it's a really good paper for us to look at. Now, we started this unit off by taking a look at Baylor Johnson's paper where he argues that individuals don't have any responsibility or any ethical responsibility in the face of climate change to act unilaterally, that is, to act on their own to reduce their own damage to the environment and to be more sustainable. And then we took a look at Ratterman. Of course, Ratterman disagreed with Johnson. Ratterman says that the individual does have some responsibility for acting regardless of what anyone else is doing, although he's a little bit vague on exactly what that responsibility is and how far it goes. Now, one thing that we didn't really discuss very much was the fact that Johnson says, look, the individual doesn't have any responsibility for acting unilaterally, but where their responsibility lies is in organizing and participating in group action, because group action has the possibility of making a really real difference. So, for example, you're not doing the wrong thing if you're driving like an SUV around, because there's no rule against doing that, but you are responsible for supporting the kind of government that's going to curtail the use of SUVs. And once they do that, you need to be consistent with that and not drive one around. Now, that may seem like it's a little bit of some tension there in Johnson's position. Maybe he wasn't being very consistent, and I think that's right. He wasn't very consistent, right? It's very hard to consistently put those two views together. Now, Held, she had a little bit more sophisticated of an analysis of what it is to act in a group here. And what she's concerned with are cases where you have like a random collection of individuals that's just a group of people that has no leader and it has no way of making collective decisions. And she wants to know whether they can be responsible for not acting in certain situations. So she's concerned with cases where the group could take action but they don't. And I'm not really going to go into her argument in detail here, but basically, she finds that they are responsible for not acting. Sometimes they're, basically the group is guilty, so everyone in it is guilty. And I think that we all kind of feel that way. For instance, we're quite shocked when we hear that there is a crime in a crowded area, nobody intervened, or nobody tried to help. And, we're shocked when there's accidents and everyone just goes by and nobody helps the victim. So, I think that we all kind of feel like Held is right, and she's kind of reinforcing, finding some philosophical basis for what we already know. Now, what's a little bit disturbing about this is the implications for climate change, because basically what that means is we're like a big group of people who's standing around watching a train wreck happen or something and not, or watching a crime happen, and we're not doing anything about it, right? So part of what she argues is that, obviously if there's a case where there's like a crime happening, it's very clear what you should do. You should stop the crime. There's cases that are a little bit more complex, where a group of people, they may not be sure what action to take. But she says, look, if it's reasonably possible for them to get themselves organized and do something, then they are ethically responsible for doing that. And if they don't do it, they're at fault, they're guilty. So the point is it may not be clear what we should do in the face of climate change, but if we apply Held's logic, we're responsible for getting ourselves organized and for finding what it is that we need to do and doing it. So the point is that all of us in the world, we're essentially like a random collection of individuals. There's no world decision-making body, and there's no like world leader, but we're in the position of a group of people watching an accident or watching a crime, and we need to get ourselves organized and do something about it. So see whether you agree with what Held has to say, which means we're all a little bit guilty for not taking action, and we should organize ourselves and do something about it, or see whether you think that there's something wrong with what she says, and whether we're not really responsible in that kind of way. All right.